Hey, what's up? It's Detective Cook. I don't really have a plan for this video. I'm kind of making it off the cuff because of the new information that we're getting for the Baldur's Gate 3 show that's going to be made by HBO. And what I'm hearing concerns me. And if you're a fan of Baldur's Gate 3, it should concern you as well. On February 5th, Deadline revealed to us that we will be getting a Baldur's Gate TV series continuing Baldur's Gate 3's story from HBO. Not only that, but they got the guy who made Chernobyl and The Last of Us series, Craig Mazin. Yeah, that Craig Mazin. The same Craig Mazin that allowed I'm Gonna Be a Dad to stay in the show. The same Craig Mazin that has shown himself to not understand the character of Ellie in The Last of Us Part 2. However, to be fair, Craig Mazin is a self-described D&D fan, claiming to have put nearly 1,000 hours into the world of Baldur's Gate 3 and to be a dungeon master who has been playing the game weekly for the past 15 years. That's still going on today. Not to mention that this show is a continuation of Baldur's Gate 3, not necessarily an adaptation of Baldur's Gate 3's story. And that's a silver lining because it sort of adds to the creative freedom that Craig Mazin has with this series. But that also has some inherent problems. The big one being, okay, which ending is canon? Which ending are they going to choose to jump off of? Because at the end of Baldur's Gate 3, your characters are pretty high level and they're pretty notable people in the world of Faerun at the time. And your party members, Gale, Astarion, Karlach, they all end up in different places based on the choices that your Tav or Dark Urge makes. And that's another question right there. Is there going to be a Tav character, sort of the fill-in player character, or is there going to be a Dark Urge character, a character that is related to one of the gods in D&D? There are so many choices that they could make, so many endings that they could build off of, but all of them seem to be final. They all seem to have a finality to it. They all seem to be legitimate endings. So I don't really see how making a continuation of these endings is going to add anything that hasn't already been discussed or touched on. Deadline also reports that the TV series will feature both existing characters from Baldur's Gate 3 and new ones. So what might happen is that they'll focus on newer characters, on basically new D&D characters that are just starting their adventuring career, and they will stumble across various Baldur's Gate 3 characters at certain points in the story, which, I won't lie, would be a better way of doing things than just continuing the story of the origin companions. And even if this isn't going to be a one-to-one adaptation of Baldur's Gate 3, it's still heavily connected to the story and the world of the game. And frankly put, after The Last of Us Season 2, I do not trust Craig Mazin with adapting video games of any kind. He has shown himself to be a good showrunner, especially with HBO's Chernobyl series, which got rave reviews across the board. However, that is a dramatization of a historical event, not a dramatization of a video game series. Those are two completely different avenues, and since The Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us Season 2, his credibility when it comes to video games has pretty much been shattered. And what shows me that these guys are so out of touch is that Deadline reports the fans have been eagerly awaiting an adaptation of Baldur's Gate, and we could not ask for better partners than HBO and the incomparable Craig Mazin to build this world with, Gabriel Morano, head of television Hasbro Entertainment, said. Bro, what fans? Nobody said that they wanted an adaptation. Nobody that I know has said that they wanted a Baldur's Gate film or TV adaptation at all. Now, I could absolutely be wrong about this. Maybe there was a vast majority of the Baldur's Gate 3 community that has been calling for a film or TV adaptation of the game. But looking at some of the comments on Twitter from the various outlets that were reporting on this, I highly, highly doubt that. Some of them were actually, they're actually pretty funny. But as you can see, nobody is happy about this. Nobody is happy about any information on this, especially for the fact that Larian Studios is not involved with the show at all. To be fair, Larian Studios just received the license to make Baldur's Gate 3, but they technically do not own Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 belongs to Wizards of the Coast, and Wizards of the Coast belongs to Hasbro Entertainment. So, technically, Hasbro Entertainment can do whatever they want with Baldur's Gate 3, with that intellectual property. And we also know that Hasbro and Larian Studios had a falling out, which is why we have not gotten any Baldur's Gate 3 DLC. Now, I don't want to start making conspiracy theories or getting into conspiracy theories, but a part of me doubts that those two things are completely separate. I mean, Larian Studios, the studios that got Hasbro a Game of the Year award, is choosing not to make any new content for Baldur's Gate 3, and now Hasbro wants to create a show about Baldur's Gate 3. Not only that, but continuing the story of Baldur's Gate 3, and all without involvement from Larian Studios, the guys who made Baldur's Gate 3. Little interesting, don't you think? The only real way I can see a Baldur's Gate show working is if they go the Fallout route, where they don't continue off of any established story or involve any of the pre-established characters. They just set it within the world. They just set a new original story within the world of D&D, within the Forgotten Realms setting. But guess what? They're already doing that at Netflix. They're making a Forgotten Realms series at Netflix, so this whole show is entirely unnecessary. This is a blatant cash grab if I've ever seen one. They're just trying to capitalize on the Baldur's Gate name because of the most recent popularity that it's garnered, and that it's garnered for Dungeons and Dragons. But with the way they're going about it, I think that this is being set up to fail. Maybe not on purpose, but through Hasbro's choices and actions on this show, by bringing on Craig Mazin, by not involving Larian Studios, I think what we're seeing is going to be another Netflix The Witcher situation. And that honestly really, really disappoints me. I am a big Dungeons and Dragons fan. I've been playing the game since high school. I have an ongoing game with my friends that I'm running right now. Not to mention that Baldur's Gate 3 topped Red Dead 2 as my favorite game of all time. I have nearly 600 hours on Red Dead Redemption 2. I've played that game a lot, and Baldur's Gate 3, for me at least, blew it out of the water. I'm going to try and stay positive about this, but all this, it's not looking good, guys. It's not looking good at all. That's going to be it. I'm going to have another video ready for you guys on Tuesday. I hope to see you there. That will be another investigation. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments, though. I would like to hear your takes on HBO's Baldur's Gate show. So if you did like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next investigation. This is Detective Cook, signing off.